Hi everyone. In today's episode, I'll be looking at the topic: Will your family and friends really not support your writing dreams, or will they support your writing dreams? And question is because for most of us, we're like, oh, if I start writing, nobody's going to support me. People are not going to encourage me in writing. And I want to look at that from my own perspective. First, this is an attempt of me speaking out loud to myself and advising myself, telling myself why these excuses are silly and why I can overcome them, what I can do to create something for myself. So that out of the way, I'm not an expert or a guru or any of those things. I'm just a beginner trying to figure out my way for making content and putting it out online. Out of the way, the question is, will my family and friends support me? Now, the first case scenario I want to paint is that there are a lot of us who say we are writers. We tell people that, oh, I'm a writer. Oh, I love to write. I do this, I do that, which is great, awesome, wonderful. A lot of people know that we are writers, but they've not really seen seen our work. They've not really read anything, right? So the first thing is that to have a work is in absolutely in your power, is absolutely in your control. Now, whether the work is great, whether the work is best selling, whether the work is awesome, whether the work is absolute masterpiece, that I cannot really say. But to have a work is in your control. Like if you put in time and energy, you can write something. Right? I don't really know what your genre of writing is. I don't know if you know your fiction. Now, some of them will end up being absolute garbage. Some of them will end up not seeing the light of day. Some of them will just be in the shelf where people, family or friends will come and see your work. Right? They will just be there. They might not even get accepted in any publication company or any of those things because they're absolutely terrible. And you know that. You read the work and you're like, this is absolute trash, right? But the thing is, we have to first be the writer itself before we can become any other thing, before we can add these adjectives to it, before we can say we are great writers, before we can say we are the good writers, before we can say any of those things. So for most of us, our family, we tell them what we are. So we don't show them what we are, right? And telling for most of us, it's not important enough for people to know. We say, okay, a writer, and we struggle with writer's block, we struggle with perfectionism, we struggle with all of those things. And so there's nothing for us to show that we are writers, really. And people cannot really say. And so when people see us, we're in a meeting or anything, and they ask, oh, you write? Yeah, I write absolutely. And they're like, okay, what have you written? They're like, not really. I'm nothing to show. Like, it's strange. Because we would expect that a writer is one who writes. And so, because by virtue of you being someone who writes, you would have writing to show. Now, it doesn't mean that the writing will be published. Some of them will be something that only those, like it will be private copies you can only send and see people and can only see when you show it to them, right? But you have to have something, right? Well, we don't want to be those people that tell people that, oh, writing is important to me. Writing is important to you. You have to show it. And the question is, how do we show it to family and friends that this thing is important to us? Because oftentimes family and friends, when we tell them, they don't really understand it. Like it doesn't fit in other than when we show them. And showing them doesn't necessarily mean that we start shouting or complaining or whining. No. Showing them that writing is important to us is simply what do you sacrifice? You come out from work or school or whatever, wherever you're doing, and instead of you to be resting, you spend time, instead of you to be scrolling through Instagram or TikTok like every other person does, you spend the time completely shut out from the internet or from your phone, and you're writing, and they see you writing. And I'm not saying see you writing because you're going to start writing in their front for them to know that you're a writer. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, how long will you do that? But I'm like, genuinely, when you're doing something genuinely, you don't really care if people see you or not, right? And it's not something you can probably hide. Even if you try to hide it, people will still catch you doing it, right? Because it's something that is important. You get lost in it. You don't even know that someone is monitoring you or not. Okay. So you're writing and they see you that, like, this is not, oh, you say that writing is important to me. No, like this, they see you've shown them that writing is important to you because of the sacrifice, the extent and you're willing to go in order to write, in order to create something, and then you submit your work, and they know that this thing is dear to you. Now, the other thing is, for most of us, we write, but we do not believe in ourselves, and so we expect other people to believe in us, but our actions speak otherwise. What we do speak otherwise. Our approach to writing itself speak otherwise. Like, we don't even not even approach writing as people who believe that this thing would amount to anything, that there is anything that will come out of this thing that we're doing. And so, but we expect other people to believe in us. We expect other people to take what we are doing seriously. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, you expect that to happen? It's not going to happen. But we do. So when people don't, our family don't support what we're doing, when they don't follow what we do, we're like, this is terrible. I would have become a writer. You see, the first thing I would need to address is the person you blame has the power over your life. So if you say, okay, I am in control of whether I'm a writer or not, then it means that you have the power. Then it means you can do things to probably become a better writer. But the first thing is, let's not tell people, let's not use it. Of course, talking is, I'm not saying don't talk, but I'm not saying people ask you questions, don't say anything. But what I'm saying is that show people, right? They should know. Like, it's going to be registered in their subconscious that, oh, this person is right. It's not like, oh, I am a writer. No, like, it's going to be registered in their subconscious. The writer and the writing is important to you. And first, you have to believe in yourself. You have to support yourself. Like, your number one fan is you. For most of us, we don't even believe in ourselves. Like, even though we say, oh, I believe, I know that it's not amounting, our actions speak otherwise. We procrastinate, we don't get up, we don't show up, we don't write, we don't do anything, and we are afraid of the stories. We don't even know what the story amount to. We are too scared, and there are a lot of things that we are afraid that our work is not going to amount to anything. We're afraid that our work is absolutely terrible. Yeah. And so we expect other people to believe in us. So the first thing is we have to believe in ourselves. Now, the frame of thought I want to give to you is, in the next 100 years, which is not very far from now, in the next 100 years from now, most of all your family members will be forgotten. Probably you with too will be forgotten, right? A lot of the people, I don't know the age you are in now, but in the next 100 years, a lot of the people, you might not be around anymore. Just saying. Yeah, you might not be around anymore. I don't know how old you are, so like, I'm not going to say you will not be around, but you might not be around. For most of us, we will not be around in the next 100 years. We would have like departed from this world. And so would most of our family members, our mom, our dad, our siblings. A lot of them would have begun, and they'll move on and they'll forget about us. So the question we want to ask is, if in 100 years you will be forgotten, why would you allow their thoughts, what they say and what not say, affect what you choose to do with your life? So the question then is, the opinions, every other thing, it doesn't really matter. What matters now is that, is this thing important to you? Do you love it? Why you're doing it? Why you are doing it right now? Because in the next, if you're like, oh, the next 50 years, 60 years, nobody's going to remember, right? So the question is it important to me right now? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Is it important to me right now? And how do we do it? So most of the times I tell people, do not tell people that you're serious about it. Show people that you're serious about writing, and then the support will call me. Okay. And when worst comes to worst, I don't really know how the family is. You have to. You have to. Okay, so I have a couple of key points here. Support can come in many forms, not just enthusiastic cheerleading. Skepticism often stems from concern, not lack of belief in you. So oftentimes they are not like, oh, they know you're capable, but sometimes they care. Sometimes how do I explain this now? Sometimes people can do things out of love, but it's terrible, right? People can say, okay, I know there's this like family member, like, I want to be a writer, and like, no, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor. Of course, there's nothing bad with that. Sometimes the father has a belief system, has a mentality, a thinking. The mom has a mentality, a belief system of what good is. And so, because they have a system of what good is, they do and they give you what their version of good out of love for you. And so they care. They say, okay, this is what you should do. Oh, you shouldn't probably be doing that. That's risky. This is what you should do. Out of love, they're like, oh, no, 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 you're not going to amount to anything. There's really nothing about. They do. And so, even though what they're doing is absolutely terrible, they're doing it out of love. So always understand that, right? So you're like, okay, pardon them, but then go on to do what you want to do anyway. Many successful writers faced initial doubts from loved ones, right? You don't want to be the reason why you do not live your life is because of the opinion a family relative had over you. Like, it meant that the family relative had complete control over your life. Like, they dictated what your life could be, even though you had the opportunity to change and say no otherwise, right? Having support is great, it's awesome, right? But you don't want the lack of support thereof. You are your biggest fan. Support yourself. The thing is this, oftentimes the darkest ages is those days when you do not even know what you're doing, right? That's the darkest ages. When you're alone with your thoughts, with your writing, and you're like, I probably shouldn't be writing, I probably should be doing something else. Why am I wasting my time? Why am I wasting my time? That is the time where you need to support the most. And you have to be your biggest fan. Like, yeah, most of us are privileged to have moms that are supportive. Yeah, and most of us, we take that for granted. Others we don't even have, right? But that's the presence of it or lack of it thereof should not be an influencing factor per se in your writing itself. Okay, you need to build a support network. So if you don't have a family that to support you, right, you need to build a support network of family and friends outside your family and friends, right? Writing groups, online community. There are a lot of writing groups that, like, a lot of friends I have that are writers, and we talk about writing. When they have ideas like, okay, I don't really know what I should do about this. Should I do about it? It's awesome. Like, we support each other, right? We're not necessarily family. We're not necessarily family. We're friends. And what brought us together is the fact that we're writers, right? That's how the friendship started, right? So you should find a network of people. A lot of online communities. Then you could also find in person. Look for other writers around you, to network, to communicate, connect with, right? And there you get your support, because they understand you. You understand the struggles we both going through, and most of the times you just can't lie to yourself. Are you really sure this is not writer's block attacking you? Like, that's true. I'm really scared what the story is going to amount to. Well, let's just do it anyway. What's the worst that will happen? And 30 days writing a story that doesn't amount to anything. Well, it's worth it anyway. Yeah. Okay. As Maya Angelou once said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. So the question is, would you want to have a story be inside of you because you didn't get the family support? Yeah, it's such an agonizing thing. Like, every day I feel this weight of stories that I could have been telling, right? Like, I'm still a work in progress, but I feel it every day that, okay, I could be telling these stories, I could be doing these things, right? And it's such an excruciating agony or pain, right? Okay, so for you now, I have an exciting challenge for you for this episode. Your challenge today is to write a one-page letter to a skeptical loved one, explaining what writing means to you and how their support will make a difference. You don't have to send it, but the exercise will help clarify your thoughts. You don't have to send it. And whether you have a skeptical loved one or not, just write it. Like, create one and write it. It would first articulate your thoughts. One of the things I've noticed is you can't really ask for what you want if you don't know what you want in the first place, right? So you have to articulate your thoughts. Try the challenge, and I'd love to know how the challenge goes. Now, if you would like to follow along with my journey on writing and see the things I'm doing, the experiments I'm working on, everything I'm doing, you can subscribe to my newsletter at buildwriting.com/newsletter, or you can click in the link in the description. I've been your host, Oyemichi Nwakonam, and you've been listening to the Build Writing Podcast. Until next time, keep writing.